Oops. I just hit this one.
No, it's over here.
What's that?
Yeah, it's this little thing right there. You can't do it. There you go. Now I don't have that reverberation.
I'm computer illiterate.
Okay. Tim's out there with us too, and guess we're
Hi,
ready
Tim.
to start. 8, sun-fused mortals. Rodney, would you start us out tonight? Because you're at the top corner tonight.
I'll be darned. Sure will. While practically all surviving mortals are fused with their adjusters on one of the mansion worlds, or immediately upon their arrival on the higher Urantia spheres, there are certain cases of delayed fusion, some not experiencing their final surety of survival until they reach the last educational worlds of the universe headquarters. And a few of these mortal candidates for never-ending life utterly failed to attain identity fusion with their faithful adjusters.
Okay, this is kind of interesting because they say here that most people fuse with their adjusters on the mansion worlds, one of the mansion worlds on the way up there. But it says some of them don't fuse until they arrive on some of the higher Urantia spheres. And we know that that is 590 spheres we go to in the Urantia form. So you could wake up on any one of them and then be fused with your adjuster. Okay. And so sometimes it's delayed over a long period of time, and it may be something personally with you that you're having trouble fusing with them, or there's many other cases, I'm sure, that this is the case. But there are some people, believe it or not, that are capable of fusing with their adjusters, but for some reason never actually can do that. Okay. And those beings are usually given a sun fragment, and that's what we're going to talk about during this sun fused mortals. All right, so let's go to the next one. Gary, would you take the next paragraph?
I actually had a question.
Yeah. Pam first.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, completely left me. So what determines that they are not able to adjust? Is it their decision? Or
No, it's something with their makeup that will not allow them to fuse for some reason. And they're going to talk about that a little bit more in this next paragraph, because the authorities basically verify the fact that they should fuse with their adjusters. They're capable of fusing with their adjuster, or they should anyway. All right, so that's the case. Tim, yeah.
What is your definition of fused?
You become part with one with the adjuster. You and the adjuster become one being.
One personality?
That's one personality. That's right. You give the adjuster personality. The adjuster gives you a fragment of God. So you become a fragment of God, a son of God, literally.
So you kind of have the
son.
merging of your personality with his spirit, and you're becoming one. Okay, thank you.
That's right. Yeah. All right, Gary, would you take the next paragraph, please?
Such mortals have been deemed worthy of survival by the adjudicational. Yeah, thank you. Authorities and even their adjusters. By returning from Divington have concurred in their ascension to the mansion worlds. Such beings have ascended through a system, a constellation, and through the educational worlds of the Salvaton circuit. They have enjoyed the 70 times 7 opportunities for fusion and still have been unable to attempt oneness with their adjusters.
Attain oneness with the adjusters. They attempt it, but they don't attain it. right? So the adjudicational authorities, that would be the Ancients of Days, have looked at their cases individually and ruled that they're available for adjuster fusion, don't they? So they qualify them that they have been faithful. And this term comes from the Bible, the 70 times 7, over and over and over again. They have proved themselves worthy of fusion with their adjusters over and over again. But for some reason, they can't reach that oneness with the adjuster.
Would
So,
that be fair, honey?
huh?
Would that possibly be
Well,
fair?
they're going to explain why it's
Oh,
fair
okay.
coming up. Okay. All right. So let's go on to the next one. Diane, you want to take the next one?
When it becomes apparent that some synchronizing difficulty is inhibiting father fusion, the survival referees of the Creator Son are convened. And when this court of inquiry, sanctioned by a personal representative of the Ancients of Days, finally determines that the ascending mortal is not guilty of any discoverable cause for failure to attain fusion, they so certify on the records of the local universe and duty transmit this finding to the Ancients of Days. Thereupon does the indwelling adjuster return forthwith to Divington for confirmation by the personalized monitors. And upon this leave taking, the Urantia mortal is immediately fused with an individualized gift of the spirit of the Creator Son.
Now, this is really, really important to understand, that after they go through this and they stay with this adjuster all the way up through 590 worlds or however many there is they go through, after they've gone through time after time after time after time trying to fuse with this adjuster, then it's ruled that they're not going to be able to fuse with this adjuster. So the local universe authorities, along with the representative from the Ancients of Days, assigns to them a fragment of the spirit of the Creator Son, and that comes through the eternal Son. Okay, so they become sun fused mortals when this happens. Okay, now the reason that the adjuster returns to Divington is why. This is really important, because the adjuster's whole purpose is to fuse with a mortal individual and become one with them, right? So if this adjuster cannot fuse with the one they've been assigned to all these years, and we're talking maybe 1,000,000 years, right, for them to get through all these worlds. So if this adjuster cannot fuse with this individual, this adjuster is released to go back to Divington, the world they came from, to be reassigned to what? Another person.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why they return to Divington, and it's of no fault of the person. They just can't reach that point where they can fuse, right? So that adjuster would go back to Divington, and one of two things are going to happen. He's going to be reassigned to another mortal, or he will be personalized and given a personality on his own. One of the two, right?
You know, I can just hear the New Agers right now. Well, that would explain reincarnation, because when you think about it, the adjuster is returning back.
No.
Right.
That's not what happens, right?
I thought they couldn't.
and so-
I thought they couldn't come back.
No, the adjuster can always come back. All the adjusters that we have on this planet have been in other beings once before. So the adjuster you have, the adjuster I have, everybody here has adjusters, and none of them are virgin adjusters. They've all spent an entire life with a previous mortal individual, right?
Who didn't make it.
Who didn't make it or couldn't fuse with that adjuster. A lot of those came from the early times of planets on very barbaric beings who couldn't fuse with the adjusters. So if they made it to the dimension world, they would be either given sun fragments or spirit fragments, right? So those type of adjusters go back to Divington, get reassigned, and end up in people like us, right? Yeah, Rodney?
Oh, I've got a question.
Yeah,
Say that you're from Earth and you
Uh-huh.
receive an adjuster that has lived in another mortal that could not fuse.
right.
Once you become fused with your adjuster, are you going to remember anything of his life?
Yes. Any life that the adjuster had before you will become your part of your memories too. So you will have memories when you fuse with the adjuster of the previous experience of the adjuster before he came to you. And that's probably why an adjuster is never reassigned to the same planet.
Probably.
Okay. Yeah, probably so. So, because then you would think then you'd have the situation Tim just talked about, people saying that they were reincarnated. In reality, they weren't. Okay. So adjuster, when he gets reassigned, all these adjusters that we have gotten came from other planets, basically. People that were on other
Right.
planets.
Do
Makes
you think
sense?
those planets were advanced more than Earth, or kind of
Probably it's
lagged,
just the opposite, Tim. They were
Mhm.
probably not advanced at all, hardly. They were
Yeah.
probably very barbaric, and the planet was just starting out, because hundreds of thousands of people are assigned adjusters in these early stages, and they have no spiritual life whatsoever, right? So some of them don't make it, some of them do, but the ones that do are not mentally capable of fusing with the adjuster. All right. They haven't
So
advanced
you're
that far. Yeah,
so you're
Gary.
so you're saying that, like, when we get to on and up in the mantra world, that we'll have slow people. Say,
Yeah,
hey,
we'll have,
talk, he's slow.
no, well, there'll be people that aren't intellectually as high as you are, right? I mean, they were just built, came up in a barbaric society. And so when they get to the dimension world, they have to pretty much start from square one on their spiritual life, because they didn't have spiritual influences during their period of time on life. But for some reason, they recognize that spark of God, or that fragment of God. So therefore they certified for advancement to the dimension worlds, right?
It's pretty
And they're
amazing.
probably, yeah, it really is. They probably all start in and out in groups and remedial classes to start them from square one, where we would be when we were born, right?
Can you kind of compare that to
Spiritually.
like a communist country, like even today,
Yeah, you could, I guess.
where it's everything is controlled?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but you might compare it to that. All right, so these adjusters from these people are reassigned to new planets, and on a higher level, the new planets. So for instance, if we had adjusters up to 500,000 years ago, the beings that had adjusters up to 500,000 years ago, when they passed, if they didn't have a concept of God the Father and they didn't make it to the dimension world, those adjusters would be released to be in people like us after that 500,000 years, right? Okay, so, and some people still don't make it, a small percentage. This is really a very small percentage they're talking about. They're talking about it a little bit farther down on in the paragraphs here. I think it's either the spirit fuse or the sun fuse, one of the two. There's only 1 million in the whole 7th super universe. All
Oh,
that way. So
That's
there's
a
not that
small.
many. Yeah, very small number. Okay. So don't get afraid that you're not going to be able to fuse with your adjusters. Likely are that you will. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next one. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Are we much as the Morontia? Or
No,
when
I think it's when it becomes apparent.
When it becomes apparent that some synchronized.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we did
Jane.
read it.
It was the next one. I'm sorry.
Okay. Much as the Morontia spheres of Nebuchadnezzar are shared with the spirit-fused mortals, so do these sun-fused creatures share the services of Orvanton with their adjuster-fused brethren who are journeying inward towards the far distant Isle of Paradise. They are truly your brethren, and you will gladly enjoy their association as you pass through the training worlds of the super universe.
So they will be with us, many of them, all the way through the 7th super universe, not the other 6, just the 7th. Okay. And I want to hit one more paragraph before I explain to you why. All right. Tim, would you take the last paragraphs in that section, please?
Sun-fused mortals are not a numerous group, there being less than 1 million of them in the super universe of Orvanton. Aside from residential destiny on Paradise, they are in every way the equals of their adjuster-fused associates. They frequently journey to Paradise on super universe assignment, but seldom permanently reside there, being as a class confined to the super universe of their nativity.
Okay, they're assigned, according to this, to the super universe itself. So their capital would be Uversa, right? Even though they're sun-fused mortals. And they're reckoned under the 7th master spirit, okay? That's why they are confined basically to the 7th super universe. Now they can take trips to Paradise on rare occasions, but they're considered living quarters would be Uversa or the 7th super universe or the local universe. Okay, so that's what makes them different. Now we are considered what? Paradise residents. Yeah, when we become adjuster fused mortals, we become paradise citizens. Okay, so that's the difference. And we're going to find out the spirit fused mortals become citizens of the local universe itself, Salvington.
So
Okay.
hey, Roger, you could say that sun-fused mortals are confined to the local universe. They can go to Paradise, but certain other spheres or
well,
are
they're more
unlimited.
confined to the super universe than the local universe. The spirit fuse would be more confined to the local universe. Okay, and we're going to talk about them next. All right. We can't think of these beings as lesser beings. That's the big point here. Yeah, Gary.
You're saying they're okay. I'm getting a little bit confused on terms. Super universe. There's 7 super universes. So, like, if they were on this one, in this super universe, they would be confined to this super universe, correct?
Right. Right.
Because that's where they were born.
That's where they were born, and they would be considered really children of the 7th master spirit. Let me open this door. That's me crazy. Huh? Yeah, she's whining out at the door. So they're considered part of the 7th super universe only, and they would not travel outside Paradise or the 7th super universe. In other words, they might get to go to Paradise on occasion, but normally they just stay within the 7th super universe, not the other 6. Now, as finaliters, we're going to have to serve in all 7 of the super universes, right? So we're considered children of Paradise, right? Or the
so you could say the reason why the sun-fused mortals can't go because they haven't fused with their adjusters. That's why they're only restricted to the first,
That's right.
7 super universe or 7.
Think of it this way. A father fragment, a son fragment, or a spirit fragment will always return to its source. Okay? So a father fragment source is what? The universal father, right? A sun-fused mortal returns to what? The eternal sun, right? A spirit-fused mortal always returns to the local universe mother spirit, because she is what? The representation of the infinite spirit. So they will always return to the representation of the infinite spirit. Now, what we do, what a sun-fused mortal really does, is he always returns to the creator sun first, right? But since the fragment not only comes from the creator sun, it comes from the infinite sun, part of the Trinity, they have the opportunity to return to the eternal sun, and they have to do that through whom? One of the 7 master spirits, right? Now think of it this way. Since we have the 7th master spirit, and remember when we studied the master spirits, our master spirit is representation of what?
The
God the
Trinity.
Father,
On
Son, and God the Spirit, right? So in essence, the sun fragments, or the sun-fused mortals, return to the 7th master spirit, who is the representative of the Trinity itself. So in essence, you could think of them as almost as equal to us, right? Because we return back
Hello?
to the Father. Yeah. Right?
Were you guys breaking up just a minute? It kicked me out and then it put me back in and said, now recording.
Yeah.
Is that you guys? Okay.
No, we didn't go anywhere.
did-
It must be your machine.
Oh,
Yeah.
weird.
Either that or
Yeah,
somebody's
okay.
spying on you and recording everything you say, but so be careful what you say.
The government,
Yeah.
don't worry, guys. It's just that answers Gary's question why I'm not seen, because I can't be seen. It's those
Yeah.
government people, Gary, from Area 51. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, I
Tim,
kind
you
of
need me to
understand.
send you a
I thought it may
razor.
have been out of
Is that it?
Washington itself, but
Did you hear me, Tim?
What's that?
He didn't hear me. I said, do you need me to send you a razor? I'm joking.
Sure.
Yeah, because he can't be seen. I don't. Couldn't resist that, you know. My wife, it was funny. We went out to eat the other day, and she looked across the table from me and say, "You didn't shave this morning, did you?" I said, "No."
Who
I
is that
didn't."
Harry?
She
Who
goes,
is that Harry monster? Yeah.
"Yeah, you don't usually do that. You always shave." Yes. Anyway,
That's
okay.
funny.
Spirit fused mortal. Next one. Pam, would you take the next one? Spirit fused mortal.
Yes. Ascending spirit fused mortals are not third source personalities. They are included in the Father's personality circuit, but they have fused with individualizations of the pre-mind spirit of the third source and center. Such spirit fusion never occurs during the span of natural life. It takes place only at the time of mortal reawakening in the Urantia existence on the mansion worlds. In the fusion experience, there is no overlapping. The will creature is either spirit fused, sun fused, or father fused. Those who are adjuster or father fused are never spirit or sun fused.
So once you fuse with one fragment, that's it. You can't fuse with a different one. Now notice here it talks about the spirit fused mortals are not third source personalities. In other words, their personality came from what? God the Father, right? They're not like the angels. The angels are all what? Third source personalities, right? Because they get their personality from what? The infinite
The Father.
spirit, right? All right. So third point, but the fragments with spirit fused mortals fuse with originate in the infinite spirit, or what they call the third source and center. And how do they do this? They get it through the local universe mother spirit, because that's where everything comes from, right? All right, so when they get their fragment, it originates in the third source and center and always goes back to the third source and center through the local universe mother spirit, okay? But once you fuse with either father, son, or spirit fragments, you only fuse with that one spirit, right? Forever. All right. Tim, would you take the next one?
The fact is that where we're at?
Yes, that's where we're at.
Okay. The fact that these types of mortal creatures are not adjuster fusion candidates does not prevent the adjuster from indwelling them during their life in the flesh. Adjusters do work in the minds of such beings during the span of material life, but never become everlastingly one with their people's souls. During this temporary sojourn, the adjusters effectively build up the same spirit counterpart of mortal nature, the soul, that they do in the candidates for adjuster fusion up to the time of mortal death. The work of the adjuster is wholly akin to their function in your own races. But upon mortal dissolution, the adjusters take eternal leave of the spirit fusion candidates and proceeding directly to Divinington, the headquarters of all divine monitors. There await the new assignments of their order.
Okay. I don't know if I should talk about this in this paragraph or the next paragraph, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it now. So these beings all have adjusters all the time. They're mortal, right? When they wake up on the mansion worlds, the sun fused mortals go through many, many, many lives, or many, many, many planets as with that adjuster, right? So during that period of time, that adjuster builds up a memory pattern, and the being builds up its own memories because it's a new Urantia being. So everything that happens to it, it remembers, right? Remember that from earlier classes. But when it gets to the point where it cannot fuse with that individual, it has to take leave of the soul that's been developed during that time, because we understand that the soul is a separate entity from the adjuster and the person until fusion actually happens, right? When fusion happens, the soul, the adjuster, and the personality of all come together into one being. You follow me so far? Okay, so sun fuse mortals, when they fuse, the adjuster takes leave. Okay, when the adjuster takes leave, he takes his records, experiences, everything that's happened with that person, the adjuster, and the adjuster, he takes it with him on back to Divinington, right? So all that experience goes into the next level, whoever he gets. Okay.
I think that's so really.
So we would call that person an old soul.
You could call that person an old soul. You really could, because if someone on this planet gets that adjuster, they may have a tendency to be wise beyond their years. And why would that be? Because the adjuster has this experience that's phenomenal, right? Probably beings like that are the types of beings that have self-actuating adjusters. And at certain times, it can actuate itself while the being's asleep and actually do other work. Okay. Did you have a question, Jane?
Yes, I did, yes. I'm not sure if this is inferring, because I didn't hear you say it. Does this mean that that personality, is there a personality still with the spirit fused mortals? Are they individuals or are they part of a whole?
No, they're individuals, just like everyone else. And so are the sun fuse. The difference
Okay.
is the adjuster has experience that a normal adjuster would not have, right? Because it would
Yes.
be with a sun fused being up to the point where they decided it couldn't fuse, right?
Thank you.
So it'd
And
have
the-
extra experience, right?
Okay, thank you.
But the personality still comes from the person, whoever that adjuster's assigned to, right?
No, I mean, we're talking now about the personality of the spirit fused mortal,
No, the sun fused
the
mortal right
soul,
now. Yeah,
the
yeah,
sun
the sun
fused, and
fused.
before we had the
Yeah.
spirit fused. But
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about the spirit fuse next. That's why I wanted to bring it up in this paragraph. Okay. It's different with the spirit fuse mortals. Okay.
okay, I'll keep listening.
Okay. A spirit fuse mortal normally would be associated as not being able to fuse at death. Okay. So when that mortal dies, they already know that this mortal it's very unlikely that this mortal would ever be able to fuse with the adjuster, right? So the only experience that person would remember would be waking up on the mansion world, because all the experience that person had went with the adjuster when it left to go back to Divinington, right?
Roger.
So it would feel like it was a brand new person. Yeah, Rodney.
So that
Yeah.
was going to lead to the other question about sun fused. Wouldn't it be the same with a sun fused?
No, because a sun fused mortal has more experience normally. A sun fused mortal will wake up on the mansion world, go through the same process as everybody else, but he realizes he can't, he tries over and over and over and over again to fuse with the adjuster. But from the time he wakes up on the mansion world until the time they determine he's not able to fuse with the adjuster, he has memories of everything that's happened from the time he woke up on the mansion world. So he's already had his own memory bank, right? He
Okay.
does not have to depend on the adjuster for all his transcripts and memory any longer, because the adjuster brought his transcripts back to the mansion world with him. Right?
Okay. Gotcha.
So over a period of time, he remembers all this stuff. But a sun fused mortal, when he wakes up on the mansion world, they've determined that he's not going to be able to fuse with that adjuster. So the adjuster is released. And so
No,
all the memories of
you
that
said
person.
You meant spirit.
Huh?
You said
Pardon me?
sun, but you
I
mean
meant spirit fused.
Yeah.
Yeah, spirit fused mortal, when he wakes up on the mansion world, he doesn't have any of his memories anymore. Why would that be? Because the adjuster brings all the memories and the transcripts with him. So this is what happens. If the adjuster goes back to Divinington and leaves this individual, then this individual is given a fragment of the spirit, right? And so all his previous memories have to be rehearsed to him by the guardian angels that's guarded out for him all those years, right? So they rehearse his whole entire life. And as you could say, remember the movie Defending Your Life, where they watch the guy's life on the video, right? It would be something like that. Everything that he did had to be rehearsed to him so that he would have the memory of everything that happened to him during his physical life. Make sense? And from that
Yes.
point on, he would remember. Make sense?
Yeah.
Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay, that's the big difference. Now let's go on. And as we read this, this will make a little more sense to you. All right. Rodney, I think you're up again next.
9:3.
9:3. Yeah.
When such sleeping survivors are repersonalized on the mansion worlds, the place of the departed adjuster is filled by an individualization of the spirit of the divine minister, the representative of the infinite spirit in the local universe concerned. This spirit infusion constitutes these surviving creatures spirit-fused mortals. Such beings are in every way your equals in mind and spirit, and they are indeed your contemporaries, sharing the mansion and Urantia spheres in common with your order of fusion candidates and with those who are to be sun fused.
All right, so these beings wake up on the mansion world with this new spirit of the divine minister. Okay. All right. Let's go on. This is going to get interesting here. Gary, you want to take the next one? There is, however.
There is, however, one particular in which spirit-fused mortals differ from their ascendant brethren. Mortal memory of human experience on the material worlds of origin survives death in the flesh because the indwelling adjuster has acquired a spirit counterpart or a transcript of those events of human life which were of spiritual significance. But with spirit-fused mortals, there exists no such mechanism whereby human memory may persist. The adjuster transcripts of memory are full and intact, but these acquisitions are experiential possessions of the departed adjusters and are not available to the creatures of their former indwellings, who therefore awaken in the resurrection halls of the Urantia spheres of Nebadon, as they were newly created beings, creatures without consciousness of former existence.
So when they wake up, they feel like they're brand new people. They didn't even have a consciousness that they were alive before, right? All right, we're going to go on here. Okay, so that's how when they wake up, they're blank. They feel like they've just been born and they don't have any memories of anything, right? All right. Diane, you want to take the next one there?
Such children, excuse me, such children of the local universe are enabled to repossess themselves of much of their former human memory experience through having, excuse me, though through having it retold by the associated seraphim and cherubim, and by consulting the records of the mortal career filed by the recording angels. This they can do with undoubted assurance, because a surviving soul of experiential origin in the material and mortal life, while having no memory of mortal events, does have a residual experiential recognition response to these unremembered events of past experience.
So even though they don't have memory, they have this experiential recognition. As soon as they tell them of something that's happened, it's like deja vu. They go, oh yeah, I've done this before, right? Type thing. Makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. And when they get together with other spirit fused mortals, this is what happens. Okay. Jane, would you take the next one?
When a spirit-fused mortal is told about the events of the unremembered past experience, there is an immediate response of experiential recognition within the soul identity of such a survivor, which instantly invests the narrated event with the emotional tinge of reality and with the intellectual quality of fact. And this dual response constitutes the reconstruction, recognition, and validation of an unremembered phaser of mortal experience.
Facet of mortal.
Facet.
Okay, so
Expensive.
when
What's
they're
that?
told about it, or when they get together with other spiritual beings, they immediately has this recognition of it immediately, because it happened to them. They just didn't have the memory, so the emotional part of it comes back to them immediately. All right. Remember, we talked about once before how when you wake up on the mansion worlds, you don't remember the things that are not spiritually significant. They call it scaffolding, things that's not important. So it falls away. What does this do for you? It removes the pain and agony that you experience during life of things unimportant, right? Why do you think there's no tears in heaven? Because those things that were unimportant no longer nag at you, right? Makes sense?
Yeah.
Pretty nice, huh?
Hmm.
All right. Pam, would you take the next one?
Even with,
No, while we understand such techniques.
oh, while we understand such techniques of memory reconstruction fairly well, we do not grasp the technique of personality recognition. Personalities of one-time association mutually respond quite independently of the operation of memory, albeit memory itself and the techniques of its reconstruction are necessary to invest such mutual personality response with the fullness of recognition.
So even though they don't remember, they have to be retold it so they could get that response to put everything back together again, right?
Yeah.
And this takes a while. It happens on the mansion worlds. Yeah, Rodney.
I actually think we skipped one. Even with adjuster fusion candidates. I don't think we read that one.
Did
I
we
don't think
not
we
read
did
that
either.
one?
I don't think
No?
we did.
Okay.
No,
Well,
we missed it. Rodney's
did we?
correct. Yeah, we did.
All right. Well, Tim, why don't you read it for
Sure.
us then?
Okay. Even with the adjuster fusion candidates only, those human experiences which were of spiritual value are common possessions of the surviving mortal, and the returning adjuster and hence are immediately remembered subsequent to mortal survival. Concerning those happenings which were not of spiritual significance, like the guy cutting you off in traffic, even these adjuster fusers must depend upon the attribute of recognition response in the surviving soul. And since any one event may have a spiritual connotation to one mortal, but not to connotation to one mortal, but not to another, it becomes possible for a group of contemporary ascenders from the same planet to pool their store of adjuster remembered events, and thus to reconstruct any experience which they had in common and which was of spiritual value in the life of any one of them.
That's cool.
But getting together with your family and friends, husbands, wives, things like that, they can reconstruct anything that happened to them because one of them out of the two may have a spiritual connotation attached to that experience. So when they start telling it to each other, they automatically respond and remember it. Make sense? Okay.
It's sort of like what I'm thinking. I talk to my brother and sister, and I say, "Remember this?" And there's no, I don't remember that. And it's like a light bulb goes on, and the same they'll say, "Do you remember this?" And and so it's that connection.
It is,
but
and that's the way we rebuild it.
What's helpful too is when you have a picture that really brings up a memory.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, not only that, picture, sights, sounds, and smells, that they probably have a reconstruction chamber where you can go and they show you videos of everything that's happened to you, and they recreate the smells and the sounds and that sort of thing that happened during that period of time, and you reassociate everything, right?
That would be a holodeck.
Yeah, like a holodeck. So when we get to the mansion worlds and I get back together with my wife, I'll say, "Remember when I made that great meal?" And they'll give her a smell. Say, "Oh yeah, that's great." All right.
Have a lot of memories.
We'll skip the next paragraph since we already read. We got one more on this section here. All right. Rodney, I think you're up again.
All righty. A spirit-fused survivor is also able to learn much about the life he lived in the flesh by revisiting his nativity world subsequent to the planetary dispensation in which he lived. Such children of spirit fusion are enabled to enjoy these opportunities for investigating their human careers since they are in general confined to the service of the local universe. They do not share your high and exalted destiny in the paradise core of the finality. Only adjuster fused mortals or other especially embraced ascendant beings are mustered into the ranks of those who await the eternal deity adventure. Spirit-fused mortals are the permanent citizens of the local universes. They may aspire to paradise destiny, but they cannot be sure of it. In Abaddon, their universe home is the 8th group of earls encircling Salvington, a destiny heaven of nature and location, much like the one envisioned by the planetary traditions of Urantia.
So what we think of heaven would be there, right? That's our concept of heaven. Okay, so, but the spirit-fused mortals are allowed to go back to their planet of nativity after a dispensation or 1,000 years, right? And by that time, all the relatives are gone. So, you know, they're not going to be talking to them and that sort of thing. Let me see how much we got here. We are not going to make it through this tonight. I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's stop here and we'll take this last section next time. So we have a whole section next time. We'll get through it easily. So the last part, the ascendant destinies, will take up on Tuesday, right? Okay, sound good to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right, well, let's have a little prayer and we will close for tonight. Let me stop the share. All right. Okay. Sweetie, you want to pray first tonight?
Okay. Father, we thank you so much for this opportunity to become more aware of what our lives will be like after we cross over. And we feel so blessed to be able to understand the process. It's so comforting to our souls to know that what we're doing. We just are so grateful in our hearts and our souls for this opportunity, and it's overwhelming with love and comfort and peace. And we thank you for this knowledge that you've shared with us, and we thank you for Roger's ability to simplify what we are reading. It is in your name, Jesus Christ, Michael of Nebadon, we give thanks. I also, in my heart and soul, send our love and our concern to the people in Turkey and Syria. And we know that you have a special plan for them, and their hearts will be united when it's appropriate time. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. You're muted, Roger.
They're telling jokes to each other.
Oh, private.
But
Yeah,
you
private
turned yours
jokes,
off already
huh?
too.
Private. I had a question
Let's see.
actually, but I didn't. I didn't know if it's the right question. But what,
Hit your-
Roger?
Yeah,
Just 1 second.
1 second. The other one, there we go.